feminine energy and there is a masculine energy. For the relationship to work, one of the woman has to choose what energy she's gonna primarily emphasizing primarily. It's not like it's 1,000% of the time, because sometimes we get like, no, it's what kind of energy you primarily want to embrace, embody, and that will dictate what kind of man you are gonna want.
Hello, and welcome back to Journey of a Fearless Female. I am your host, Paola Rosser, and this week my guest is Natalia Murua. She is a professional dating and relationship coach and speaker. She is the creator of the Epic Love Accelerator, an online coaching and mentorship program for high-value women wanting to find and keep their true, long-lasting love. She is also the host of the popular True Love Secrets Revealed online summit, where thousands of women have heard Natalia interview top relationship experts like Dr. John Gray, Dr. Hellen Fisher, Marc Katz, Dr. Gay Salyer, and Dr. Diana Kirschner, just to name a few. She has worked with women from all over the world to help them, number one, identify what may be holding them back. Number two, teach them the skills and the ability to be a successful relationship long-term. And number three, provide caring support and accountability in their journey to be in the relationship of their dreams. Everybody, please welcome Natalia. Hi, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. Thank you for being here. So let's talk about your journey as a fearless female. How, before you became a relationship coach, let's go back to the beginning. How did your journey begin?
Hi, Paola. Thank you so much for having me. And I have been fearless my whole life, pretty much. That is a big signature thing of mine. And I would say my first recount of being fearless, I am 11 years old. My whole class is going to this beautiful trip hours away from our small town. And my parents can't afford it. So I am sitting there and I am not sure if I am going to be able to go.
Yeah.
And what happens at that moment? We got creative, we got resourceful, and I decided to start an entertainment business. So
Really?
I borrowed clothing. I borrowed my oldest sister's 15-year-old party high heels and some clothing. And I don't know, I grabbed stuff from everywhere and I came up with a one-woman show. I was a singer, karaoke, of course. I was a magician. I was everything. I was doing everything. And people paid to go see me. So that was my first. So I got the money and I ended up going to this beautiful trip and I had the time of my life. But that was the beginning of my entrepreneurship life, that theme of wanting to do things or wanting to have material stuff and parents not having the money to provide never ended. So when I was 15 years old, I started my own business again. I was selling pastries door by door. And, then I went to university because my dream since I was 14 years old was to be a psychologist. I always wanted to, I was always drawn towards mystery and, and the human mind and what makes some people do one thing and not other. I was extremely drawn towards that. So I moved to the big city on my own and to go to university, to become a psychologist. And, I had my first brick and mortar business when I was 23 years old. And all this I know it sounds very romantic. And when I talk about it, sounds like the normal progression and things were going, I was flowing. It was actually really hard because I was living in Argentina, in a place where if you don't have a family that can provide for you, it's really hard, almost impossible for a woman to jump on a different socioeconomic stratus.
Yeah.
Usually you stay where you are at.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing it all on my own and just working really hard and taking risks left and right and saying yes, 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 yes. And so that's the beginning of my story.
I love how you were so resourceful. I love how when, that trip was like, if you don't have the money, you can't go. It wasn't something that just blocked you and wasn't something that was like, okay, I can't go. You didn't accept that answer and you became resourceful. I love that you grabbed the quinceañera stuff and you're like, I'm going to like create something that people are going to want to pay me money for. And that entrepreneurial spirit, it works on so many levels, but I love that, you didn't take no for an answer. And like you said earlier, living in Argentina, being a female, being a woman, you are expected I'm Mexican, so I know what it's like. You're expected to be a certain person and to fit the mold that they expect of you.
Right,
And when you don't fit that mold, you're kind of just like, wait a minute, what is wrong with her? I was called crazy. I was called dramatic, but like I knew in my
right.
heart what I wanted and where I wanted to be in life. And you do have to break that ceiling because you're expected to stay, no, you're supposed to stay here. And so you're breaking the
Absolutely.
ceiling of like something different, something new, something that no one probably in your family has ever done.
Right. Well, I come from a family of very, very powerful people. So I have to give some credit to my genes because, yes, my first cousin, just assumed as a mayor of the town.
Wow.
So I come from a powerful family. Genetically, we are very strong, very determined, very high values, with vision. Just money wasn't the resource.
Yeah.
Argentina, as I said, it's a place where unless you really come from money, it's hard to break through.
Yeah.
But yes, and I was called names. I remember vividly one day I was 14 years old, I believe, and I was at my best friend's house. I was going to sleep at her house, and
Mm-hmm.
her sister came to me, who was older, 2 years older. She comes to me and pushes me and said, who you think you are? You have to stop thinking so high of yourself. And I'm like,
Wow.
wow, and things like that. When I was on my 20s, I got that happening again. Who you think you are that you believe you can make that much money? Or, I did go faced a lot of hardships. I did face a lot of opportunities that were opportunities, but the price I had to pay was so high. I remember when I was 23 years old, I was being a secretary. I always worked to pay for university. So I was being the assistant, the secretary of this powerful guy. He
Mm-hmm.
was so, so smart and so wealthy and so well traveled and all that. And somehow, he manipulated me into being with him romantically.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, I remember as if it were today, he said, Natalia, and this guy was almost 40 and I was 23. And
Mm-hmm.
he said, Natalia, what is your dream car? And I told him my dream car back then. It was I don't know, it was an SUV, nothing crazy. But, for
Uh-huh.
me back then, with the resources I had, that was like, wow, huge car. And I said, it's this such and such SUV. And he looks at me and says, and holds my hands and said, if you stay with me for 10 years,
10
I
years.
I cannot make this up if I want to. He said, I'm going to get it to you. And I didn't say
You're like, I could
anything.
get it myself in 10 years.
Right. Right. But you have to keep in mind the context. This is not the
Mhm.
United States. This is a completely different context
Yeah.
where for a guy to say that and for a woman to believe it and to stick to it, he had pretty high chances.
Yeah.
But as I said, I didn't say anything. I just thought what you said. My pride was really, really high. I have always been very proud. And so I said, okay, let's see. I think I'm going to get it before that on my own. And sure enough, I broke up with him because I realized he was manipulating me and trying to, even though it was very attractive to become wealthy,
Yeah.
by being with him, I knew I couldn't go against my values. So at age 28, I bought my own SUV cash
Nice.
with my own
Congratulations.
money.
That's amazing.
So that's why I said I have always been a little bit fearless, even to my own. Sometimes, it didn't work for me that much,
Yeah.
that sometimes I should have been more, maybe things twice, but I don't really regret anything because I wouldn't be where I am at today if it weren't for that. I
Yeah.
have had an amazing life, a very rich life. I have traveled all over. I have met different people. I have had different businesses. I have always helped other people. I have
Hmm.
always lift other people up with me. So I am a connector. I am I believe in lightening other people's up. And I have a huge vocation for service and for empowering women. So
So, how did you get into the dating coaching scene?
I got into that scene because to me it was kind of like a no-brainer. As I mentioned, I had the education and the training.
Hmm.
I was training as a psychotherapist, and then later on I discovered coaching when I moved to the States 22 years ago. And I
Hmm.
discovered coaching, and then I became a transformational coach, and I went down that path very, very heavily. Like, if I do something, I jump with both of it and whole body.
Yeah.
So I had that part. I had the education, I had the training. Also, I had my call, my vocation, that, as I mentioned before, I felt it strongly when I was about 14 years old, of empowering other people, empowering women. It's a very, very strong vocation that I have to help others.
Hmm.
And the third component is my own personal experience. I just told you a little nugget of how much my romantic life sucked. I was dating that
Yes.
guy because I thought I liked him, because he liked me and he wanted to be with me. What is a better proof that my love life sucked? I was
Yeah.
pretty much dating guys or being with guys that were into me, but I
Hmm.
never felt confident enough to go for a guy that I liked. So it's
Yeah.
not that I didn't like them. They would end up gaining my heart, but it wasn't that, real deep connection, that intimacy, that divine union that I do have now with my husband. It was more like, okay, I am with him because I love him as a human and I
Hmm.
feel safe.
Yeah.
So I was very cynical and resigned in that area of my love life. I was very strong and confident on my businesses, my intellectual skills, my fitness, all that was great. But when it came to love and relationships, I really, doing the work, I found out along the way that the belief underneath was I didn't believe love was meant to be for me. And,
Mm.
I transformed that. So in having that experience of going from sucking at relationships that culminated with the peak of getting married to a guy in my early 30s and finding him with another woman in my house,
Wow.
with that very traumatic experience,
Hmm.
uh, that was when I was like, okay, Natalia, you are the common denominator in all these, sad ending love stories. It's
Yes.
time for you to take responsibility of your love life and do something about it. So that's what got me into my journey on healing my own self, learning, because what I didn't realize back then is that with me, being involved with these guys that I wasn't really in love with. I was cheating myself from learning the skills and the abilities to be in a great relationship.
Yeah.
Because one thing is to be, like in a relationship where you are not all in, and another thing is that to be in a relationship where you are full in, 1,000% in. So I didn't know how to communicate in a loving
Yeah.
way. I didn't know how to be emotionally intelligent.
Mm.
It's very embarrassing, but I was on my early 30s still throwing tantrums.
Mm.
It came to my love life, I sucked really good.
Yeah.
So, and having that wake up call that day when I was in that situation, I knew in the moment, that I am discovering that that's happening to me, that he's with another woman in my house, that I am seeing his car and the car of the other woman next to his,
Mm.
I knew it was a blessing. I
Yeah.
knew. I knew it was my opportunity to do something about it, and something I did. I did all the work for a whole year. I hired coaches. I did all the work on myself. I didn't see any men, and then the other 2 years I went on 200 first dates in 2 years.
200. Oh my gosh. Okay, so
Right?
before we get to your 200 first dates, that's a lot. Let's unpack a lot of what you just said because I resonate with your story a lot. I too caught my boyfriend cheating on me. And I at the moment I didn't think it was like a blessing in disguise the way you did. I wish I did, but I did not. I was very, very depressed. But I also thought the same thing. What's the common denominator in this factor, in this equation? It's me. I'm the person in the same relationship over and over. And I did spend a whole entire year not dating. I really went deep dive into like, well, what is wrong with me? When really it, like you said earlier, you didn't feel like love was for you,
Right.
and how you said, you didn't know how to communicate. You weren't emotionally aware and intelligent enough to be in a relationship. And I just finished listening to Brian Tracy, who is a motivational speaker and author. And he talks about like that, the first marriage is always the trial marriage, but for a lot of people. And that's because they didn't experience what love, their parents didn't love each other. Their parents didn't
Right.
understand how to communicate or have emotional intelligence. And so they didn't have that as a emulation to be able to say, okay, this is what love is. This is how love is supposed to be. And now I'm going to replicate that. And so what I did, because I grew up in a family where there was my mom and dad didn't have a very loving relationship at all. They should have actually
Mhm.
gotten divorced. And it was just a really tumultuous relationship. They expressed their love and anger with fights and yelling. It was a telenovela in my house. And like, that's what I thought love was like. And so I
Right.
repeated the pattern, and I repeated the pattern, and I repeated the pattern, and I did it over and over until finally, like a brick over my head, which was actually I
Right.
was being choked out on the side of a restaurant by my boyfriend, who I just caught
Mm.
him cheating on me. I like that was like my aha moment where it was like, wait a minute, I am the person in the equation every single time. And I love that you said you hired coaches and you did the work. And I think that's one of the huge factors that women don't do. They point the
Absolutely.
blame and they're like, well, men are cheaters, men are dogs, men are assholes, all men are this way and that way. But in reality, like, you have to do the inner work. There actually really are good men out there. They're just
Absolutely.
also in bad relationships. Right?
Right, right. Yes, yes. It's so everything you said is so accurate. We learn how to love with our primary caregivers. And if those love maps they give us are faulty, we are going to follow them as truth. So it
Mm-hmm.
takes, nobody teaches us how to be in a relationship. And even this is taking it a little bit further, even if our parents do an amazing job teaching us how to be in a great relationship, and they're great role models and all that. By the time we are supposed to be using those skills, it's at least 20 years later with
Mm-hmm.
somebody that is completely different than your parents. So we
Mm-hmm.
do need to get to know ourselves, and we do need to get to learn how to be in a mature, responsible relationship. It
Yeah.
doesn't happen just like that. That is the Hollywood idea. That is the movies idea that we just fall in love. I remember growing up, and oh my God, the only thing you need is love. If love is present, everything else somehow is going to fall into place. No, it's not. It's
Yeah.
not. Love your parents, if you allow me to say this, because it's
Mm-hmm.
an assumption, but I am 99% sure I am true. There wasn't lack of love. I am sure they adored each other.
Oh no, my
It
parents
was
did not.
lack of skills.
Oh
No,
no,
they
my
didn't.
parents did not love each other at all.
Okay, so
No,
I'll talk
they
about my parents that
yeah,
I
like
did.
my parents, my mom married my dad as a means to get out of her home.
Okay,
So it was just like, back in the days, it was like you got married to get out of your family's home. And my mom grew up in a
right,
very, like, not so great environment. So she was like, I'm just going to pick you. You're going to marry me and you're going to take me out of my mom's house. And so that's why
right,
they got married. It's like there wasn't that love factor, and it really did pour into all of our relationships. All of my sisters and my brother, there's only one that had a really good relationship. Everyone else was just like messed up in
right.
their relation. There was no real examples of like what is a loving relationship.
And tell me, when you came to this realization of your mom marrying your dad because of convenience, what we could say, because
Mm-hmm.
it was the right thing to do. It was what made sense for with what she had, that was the best she could do.
Yeah.
What what idea of love you got through that? So what did you think about love when you realized that? What did you tell yourself about love?
um I just never believed that there was like a good love out there. I thought that it would always come with some sort of drama, or like
Right,
if it wasn't like toxic and volatile and like dramatic, then it wasn't real love. It was like my
right,
love had to look like a telenovela for it to be real. And then I realized that's toxic. That's unhealthy. Very
right,
unhealthy. So I had to
right.
unlearn a lot of my old behaviors and programming from when I was little.
Yes, that's it. You associate that with love. And then
Mhm.
what happens to a lot of the women I talk to is that when they meet a man that is healthy, that is secure, that wants to love them and cherish them and be there for them, and they feel like the guy is boring. They feel like the guy is like blood. They don't feel the attraction.
Mhm.
So there is a lot of healing that has to be done
Yeah.
for women that didn't get healthy love maps. Now, there are other women that they did get healthy love maps, but they didn't, and this is something that I see a lot with my clients too, is they didn't get enough experience in the real world to be able to vet, to audition a good guy.
Mm.
And the way this shows up is these are women that are very successful, they are extremely smart, they go to school and they are part of all the different extracurricular activities. They are straight A students. They are doing extremely well academically, and they go to college, and then they meet the guy when they go to college. They fall in love and they marry him, and
Mhm.
they never ever ever get to have enough experience to see if that guy is the right guy for them.
Yeah.
So, and then what happens is a few years later down the road, they end up getting divorced
Mhm.
because that guy wasn't the right guy. He just showed them whatever they wanted to see. And because they didn't have experience, they couldn't see the red flags. They couldn't, really, really audition the guy. They believed him and they fell in love. And then along the road, everything is going to show.
Yes.
Actually, it doesn't take too long for a man to show the true colors.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. Like I think also like people who get married really early, it's very rare that their marriage lasts a very long time because who you are at 18 and 20 is definitely not who you are at 40 and 50. And, like you said, they don't have the experience. They find the first person, they're like, this is it. I'm going to lock it up. I'm going to get married right now. But you don't know who they are or how they're going to be in like a trial. You don't know how they're going to be when things go south. You don't know how they're going to be when a death occurs in the family. You don't know how it's going to be when you decide you want to go back to school, or you have to really like be with somebody. And I like truly believe that you should date as many as people as you want. I like that you said I went on 200 first dates because I actually had a therapist before I met my husband. She told me I should go on 72 dates. And I remember I
Oh,
had anxiety just thinking about it. 72 dates, that's insane. But really, like, you do have to go out there, and it gets you to like realize, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I don't want to put up with. It's a huge commitment. Marriage is a huge commitment.
huge
and
commitment.
and you're going to, if you want to be with this person for the rest of your life, you really do have to do your research.
You do.
I feel like
You
we make
do.
more research on like the appliances we buy on our house than the man we're going to marry.
Right, right. Sometimes we get confused, and we believe that those butterflies, those warm, fuzzy feelings that we have, the legs shaking, ah, that's the danger of connection. We believe that that is
Mm-hmm.
a connection, that that's something that is going to last forever, that means that he's the one, and it's nothing farther from the truth.
Yeah. Love is a
That,
powerful drug.
yes,
It
that
is
is
a
last.
powerful drug.
Yes, it takes time to get to know somebody, and but it takes a lot of self-confidence to and patience, a lot of good character traits that sometimes it takes time to develop. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be confident in your skin to if a guy is coming too hot to you, to say, let let's let the relationship unfold. Let's, when the guy is like, he wants to be all over us and wants to see us every day and wants to, us moving together or marry right away, it takes a very confident woman to say, let's let's
Pump the
allow
brakes.
time. Right. let's
Yeah.
let's wait. It takes patience. It takes to be mature and emotionally intelligent, pretty
Mm-hmm.
much. Those
Yeah.
are the two things that I think they are the most important. And those are the things that a great guy will look for in a woman. Guys
Mm-hmm.
want to be respected. Guys want to be appreciated. And unless we are in a good space, in a good inner space, we won't be able to do that. We won't be able
Yeah.
to respect them. We won't be able to appreciate them because our expectations are going to be completely unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of work that has to be done if we want to get it right from the beginning.
Yes. Okay. So, step number one, ladies, if you're listening, make sure you take the time to do the inner work before you start looking for the person that you want to be with. So, now, second step, what would be their second step after they've done the inner work? They've gotten a little bit of emotional intelligence. Their confidence is up because they now are loving themselves and appreciating themselves, and they really know what they want. So, what is the next step they should take?
The second step, I would say, just decide what kind of woman, what is what role you really feel juicy about it in the relationship. Okay, let me explain a little bit what I mean. For attraction to happen, this we are going to be talking about attraction right now. So for attraction to happen, there has to be something called polarity. There
Mm-hmm.
has to be a negative and a positive. It's like magnets. For the magnets to attach, there has to be a negative and a positive. If there are two negatives, they're going to repel each other. If they're two positives, they're going to repel each other.
Mm-hmm.
So how that works with relationships. And this works, I work with with heterosexual women, but this goes for everybody. It's not
Yeah.
gender, it's not physical, it's about energies. So there is a feminine energy and there is a masculine energy. For the relationship to work, one of the woman has to choose what energy she's gonna primarily emphasizing primarily. It's not like it's 1,000% of the time, because sometimes we get like, no, it's what kind of energy you primarily want to embrace, embody, and that will dictate what kind of man you are gonna want. Now, 100% of my clients and women I talk to, they want to be with a masculine man. They want to
Yes.
be with a man that is strong, that is confident, that is a protector, that has what it takes to, to give solutions, to give ideas, to come up with some direction. They want that in a man. That's what gets them going. Okay? So if that is the case, they have to choose to separate their work life from their romantic life. Because in their work life, when they are in their business, like you and I right now, we are on our masculine energy because we have a goal. Our goal is to inspire, to celebrate women, to help them, to give them some nugget of wisdom so their life can be better. So we have a very definitive goal. And so when we are on our business, we are using our masculine energy, and we should, because the world is made for, for that, from that energy.
Yes.
But when we are on our romantic relationship, we have to sort of change hats and get into our feminine energy.
Yes.
Why? For many reasons. The biological reason, there is a guy, Dr. John Gray, that I actually had interviewed him. He's an expert in dating and relationships. And lately, in his late years, he has been doing a lot of research on the hormonal side of how biologically we are wired to be in our feminine energy. So what he discovered is that as women, we have testosterone and estrogen, both men and female. Women, we have a lot more estrogen than testosterone, and men have more testosterone than estrogen. And our body as women feels good when we have an overflow of estrogen. That's when we feel more in our skin. That's when we feel more centered and grounded and just good about ourselves. And men feel better in their own skin when they are higher on testosterone. So as women, when we do work, like right now, to give you an example right now, we are producing a lot of testosterone in our body. So if my husband comes right now and knocks at the door, I'll be like, hold on, I'm busy, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be all lovey-dovey probably because I am in building mode. I am on creator. I am on, on let's get things done. So, but that is going to make me feel bad about the way I treated him. Because the way I really feel good when I am with him is when I am in my feminine energy. And that is when he's receptive to me and wants to, be the man, be protective, be the man in the relationship, the masculine energy. So that is the really, really important decision that a lot of women nowadays have a very hard time to make because they have been brought up certainly with the role models from our grandmothers and mothers that being feminine, being curious, receptive, being nurturing, being vulnerable, all the things that make a relationship juicy are weak. Men take advantage of us when we are that way. We are called bimbos. We are, the dumb blonde, whatever. And it's nothing, it's further from the truth. Actually, when we are on our masculine energy, that's when we don't get what we want in a relationship. the only chance we have to really be in a juicy relationship with a healthy masculine man is if we drop into our feminine energy. I just watched an interview to Dolly Parton. I have come to fall in love with Dolly Parton. I
Yeah, I
am
love
like,
her.
oh my God, I'll share the interview with you if you haven't watched it. It's an amazing interview. And the Barbara Walters is from the 70s, 60s, the long, it's an old interview. And Barbara Walters is interviewing her, and she's pretty much being very condescending to Dolly. And
Mm,
Dolly is just a superstar. The way she
yeah.
answers is just, ah. So Barbara Walters is asking her if she feels like she's a joke, if she feels like she's, like a dumb blonde and all
Mm,
that. And what she says, Dolly says, is that everything that people see, all the big blonde wigs and the eccentric costumes and all that, she's doing it because she chose to do it, because she wanted to stand out. She didn't want
yeah.
to be like anybody else. But who she is inside, she's very confident in her talents. She's very confident in who she is. She really cares about the right things and the right people and being the right person. She's very content with who she is. So whatever other people think of her, it doesn't matter. And I think
Yeah.
it's such a great analogy for what we are talking about here, because it's the same thing with feminine energy. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter what other people say. It's okay, But once my clients make that shift, that is not easy sometimes,
No.
but they do it eventually because they
Yeah.
start to see the results.
Yeah.
In the first few
I
weeks, they don't trust me. They look at me with big eye and they're
Yeah.
like, this woman is crazy. But
It's hard for women when all of your life you've been in that survival mode, in the fight or flight mode, or in the like I have to be the go-getter and I'm the
right,
overachiever or the type A. Like you said, you work with high value women, women who are, executives and stuff. So for those women and all of us, who are in that position of like leadership and everything, it is hard to get out of
it
your
is.
masculine energy, especially. I mean, I met my husband, I was a property manager for over 10 commercial buildings. And, you know, I was in when every time I met him, I was in my masculine energy because I was his property manager and I had to show my masculine energy. And
Right,
I love how, like, yes, I can turn it off and allow him to be the masculine. And we are very good and in sync, together. And I love that. And sometimes when I need to be in the masculine energy and I allow him to be in his feminine energy where he could share his emotions and cry and like really talk about his
right.
feelings, I allow that. But that's the thing. You do have to have both
You do.
because you can't just always have him be in his masculine energy and you can't always be in your feminine energy. You have to be able to, like you said, put on the hat of the masculine energy when you're at work, take it off when you're at home, and allow him to be that. But there are moments in time where, like, let's say you have a loss, like maybe his mother passes away and he needs your, masculine energy to take over because he needs to like grieve the loss of his mom. It's We have to have these dynamics in the
Right,
relationship. But yeah, it's super important to always have one or the other, because like you said,
right.
if you both are in your masculine energy, you are
It's
going to
just bad
fight.
hits.
Yeah. If you're both in the feminine energy, you're both going to be like, why isn't this working out? Well, like you said earlier, it doesn't just have to be in a heterosexual relationship. Even in a lesbian relationship or a gay relationship, there has to be one, in their masculine, one in their feminine
And
for
don't
it
you
to
think it's
work.
funny that sometimes you can see the dynamics better? I have a couple of gay friends, and I can see the feminine, masculine energy in the relationship
Yes.
way more evident than with men and women sometimes.
Yeah.
You can really tell.
Yeah, it's super important. So number 2, that's a really great one. Number 3, when do they start dating? Is this when they start dating in step 3? And
Yes, well,
how did you decide to go to 200? That's a lot.
well, no, they don't have to. If they hire me, they don't have to go to so many dates. I did it on my own, so and it was meant to be. I
Mm-hmm.
met my husband when I met my husband, and I wouldn't change it for anything in this world. So,
Mm-hmm.
but no, that's the beauty of hiring a coach, hiring help, is that it 10x the process. Like my
Yes.
clients, if it depends, where they are at when they start.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the level of repair that needs to be done. If they are already dating and they are already, having fun on dates and all that, usually they meet when they hire me, they meet the guy in between 3, 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
It happens really fast. Now, a lot of the clients that hire me, they're not dating. So we have to repair from the beginning. We need to start, it takes a few weeks until they start to do the work and they start to feel like, okay, I'm ready. And then it could take, 6 months, 8 months, the longest a year. But they
Mm-hmm.
do meet the one eventually. I have 100% results.
Nice.
And yes, and their whole life blossoms, by the way. They are so
Yes.
much happier and engaged with the environment and all that. So when they start dating, yesterday, when is the best moment to plant a tree? 10 years ago. When was the next best time? Today.
Yeah.
So why? Because the way I see dating, I coach them to see dating is meeting men. It's just meeting men
Mm-hmm.
all over the place. They get involved with their life. Most of them, they always wanted to take a dancing class. Well, they start taking the dancing class. They always wanted to do this. They always wanted to do that. And they had been focusing on work because
Mm-hmm.
they are getting great results from work.
Yeah.
So, of course, you are going to focus on what makes you feel good at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, but little by little, they start to get engaged with their whole life and they start to pursue hobbies and they start to, when they go to the supermarket, rather than being like this, they walk and they are looking around. I had a client
Yeah.
that made fun of me because she will walk, she lives in Brickell Avenue in Miami, in South Beach.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's like a road that everybody is young, everybody's hot, and everybody's walking dogs outside or jogging or walking. So just getting down from your condo and walking your dog there, it's like a prime place to meet high quality men. She'll
Mm-hmm.
do that. She will get down, walking her dog, just with a ponytail, sunglasses, and just like, just.
Yeah.
So I said, get a couple of sundresses, ditch the sunglasses, and walk your dog, and just move your body, focus on the movement of your hips, and
Yes.
start looking around. Stop, smell the flower, just start engaging. Just from doing that, she started to have guys talking to her.
Yeah. It's because you're now the energy isn't, don't talk to me. I don't want to know you, to like, I am open to whoever's going to come to
Correct.
me. I tell some of my clients, because, it's also the words and the thoughts that you think. Like, if you're thinking all men are cheaters, all men are assholes,
Right.
all men are unavailable and they're mean, then those are the men you're going to attract into your sphere. But if you start saying, I meet available and remarkable men, I meet high value men, the men that I meet are going to love me and think I'm the best thing since sliced bread, then those are the men you're going to meet. And like you said, if you're walking around with your sunglasses and you're just like, please don't look at me, don't talk to me. Yes, no one's going to look at you or talk to you because that's the energy you're putting out. But if you're out there, like you said, smelling the roses, swaying your hips, you have no sunglasses so they could see your eyes and smiling at people. Yes, you're
Right.
going to be more open. You're going to attract people who are going to be like, oh, she is ready. She's ready to talk to me. Because
So
men are
true.
just as,
They're terrified.
yeah, they're
They're
terrified for
terrified.
rejection. They don't want to be
Yes,
rejected by you.
men are terrified right now. They are. It's so confusing for them right now.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
so
So,
confusing.
one last step before we wrap up this episode. So once they start going on like a lot of dates, starting now, not yesterday or tomorrow, start now, go on a lot of dates, even if it's just first dates. What would be like a step that they could take to kind of like make sure this is the one? Like, how do they differentiate between the 200 men? Like, which one, how do they narrow it down to making sure that this is the one for them?
That's a great question. So, yes, they're dating a few guys at the same time, and there is going to be one that they are going to like most. Let's be honest. That's what's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. So, then is when we start to kind of see his character traits and his personality. Is he
Mm-hmm.
consistent? Is he consistent? Like he says he's going to do something, does he do it? That's a good sign that he's a good guy. Is the relationship getting better every day?
Mm-hmm.
Like every day, there is something that makes you feel, I'm getting closer. It's getting better. It's getting better. That is another good sign that he could be the one.
Mm-hmm.
Is he healthy? Is he showing you that, that he's healthy, that he doesn't have any addiction?
Mm.
Things to look
Yeah.
for is alcohol, drugs, like gambling. All those things are no-brainers, things that we drop immediately the guy if he's
Yeah.
doing any. If we can feel
And
that
if
he's
ladies,
not,
if you're listening and you think you're going to be able to fix them, that's not your job.
no, no,
That's not your
no,
job to
no.
cure them of their addiction.
Right. And then can I communicate with him? Do I feel good when I am with him? Do I feel good when I am with him? And do I feel good when I am not with him?
Mm-hmm.
That is
That
another
is a
thing.
key. Yes, that is a key. Because you could feel good when you're with him and then not feel good when you're not with him. And I
Yeah,
had an ex-boyfriend that even he was very narcissistic and very manipulative. And when I was with him, I really felt good, but I also had this underlying feeling that things weren't going well. And then when he would leave, that feeling got bigger and louder, and I have these crazy dreams that he was cheating on me. It turns out he was cheating on me, but I
mm,
kind of disregarded my gut and my intuition and my dreams, and I continued for 3 more months, and it was the worst. I should have left at 3 months rather than staying for another 3 months. It's like when you start getting those red flags, like it's okay to leave. You don't have to be nice.
right, right,
Oh,
right. If it's leave, next,
yeah.
next,
Next,
next.
next.
I
Uh,
always said, the more we hold on to those bad guys, the more it's like we have an evidence jar that men are pigs. The
mhm.
more evidence we are putting on that jar. So we don't want to put evidence on that jar. So
Yeah.
as soon as we get the red flag, we get the intuition that there is something wrong, we either leave completely if it's strong enough, or if it's just a hunch and we don't have any kind of evidence,
Mhm.
we keep dating other guys.
Yeah.
Because when we are dating other guys, we are going to be entertained. We are going to get our needs met from several guys. So he's not going to be the only source of our love and appreciation and attention and,
Yeah.
you know, whatever we want in a relationship. We are going to have a few guys giving that to us. So our brain is going to be more clear because this
Mhm.
is all about, yes, it's about being in our feminine energy and dropping into our heart and being open and curious, but also being assertive and being smart. We are the ones vetting the guy. We
Mhm.
hold, this is, ladies, this is so important to know. We hold the pace of the emotional relationship, okay?
Mhm.
We hold the pace of the relationship. So we decide, we meet the guy first, we get to know him. Once we know him, we step into trusting him. Can I trust this man?
Yeah.
Once we know we can trust him, we see if we can rely on the guy. That's when we
Mhm.
ask him to take care of our plants. If he does and they don't die, good.
Yeah.
Then once we know him, trust him, rely on him, it's when we can, get intimate with him and we connect with him. And
Yeah.
then we commit with him. And why I said get intimate and then commit, it's because I believe, and this is very controversial, okay? So what, brace yourself,
I'm
not
bracing
every coach.
myself.
Yeah. I do believe that the first sexual experience should be a freebie.
Yeah,
I do.
I'm with you.
Okay. Because
I'm with
look,
you.
if we commit to somebody to be exclusive and all that, and then sex
Is
sucks,
bad. Yeah.
and we do not connect in that area.
Yeah. And women, we're
So,
allowed to like sex. We're allowed to want good sex. Like we don't
yes,
have to settle for a bad sexual partner.
no, not at all. So, those are basically the few steps, and it takes a minimum of 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
It takes about 3 months for any unhealthy pattern to show up. I'll give
Ooh.
you an example. I had this client, before she hired me, she was healing from this bad experience she had with this guy. She met the guy, great guy. Everything was amazing. Of course, she's a successful woman, business
Mm-hmm.
owner, homeowner, two beautiful kids. All She was a great catch, beautiful, gorgeous, beautiful woman, funny, everything going on for her. She meets this guy, great guy, good looking, successful, all that. He's taking her on a plane here and there, and they're everything is looking great. She commits to him right away. They start having sex right away, and by that I mean in between the first few weeks.
Mm.
Right away. They start to see each other every day right away. So they got like this immediately. They got committed right away. She dropped everything she was doing, seeing other men, any plan of dating other men, everything. You know how it looks like. We all
Yes.
have been there.
Yes.
Drop everything for the guy. Now, at about the 3 month mark, he showed up with a pattern of being heavily depressed.
Mm.
And there is nothing wrong with that if he's taking care of it.
Yeah.
But he also refused doing anything about it.
Mm.
So took her a year of pain, disappointment, trying to help him, da da da. We know the drills to finally say, okay, I'm out.
Yeah.
If she had known the coaching, if she had known that we do have to wait at least 3 months, it takes about 3 months for those patterns to show up.
Yeah. I
We
agree.
may, yeah, we may meet them when they are on a high.
Yeah.
Maybe they stop
They show you
drinking.
their best foot forward. They show you their best colors, their best cards in the beginning. But I mean, I agree. My ex-boyfriend who cheated on me, it was at the 3 months mark that he called me a
Right.
cunt. And, and he was making fun of me and like being really having racial remarks. He was white, I was Mexican. So he was making racial remarks about Mexican people. He called me a wetback. And I was like, what? Like, who were you? Never said these racial remarks 2 months ago or a month ago, And I thought, like, oh my gosh, I should have broke up with him then, but I continued to stay in it. And
It's hard.
another 3 more months, and I caught him
Yeah.
cheating on me. But like you said, they show you who they are by 3 months, and you
Yeah, they
really
do.
do. And I love that you are a coach because it's so important to have someone that isn't in the rose colored glasses with you. You know what I mean? Like from someone from an outside perspective to show you, hey, you've fallen into this trap. Because, like I said earlier, love
Right.
is a powerful drug. Like over 50% of the people in jail are in jail because of some love torrid affair or some love struck moment or some love, crazy relationship that they did some sort of murder or whatever, or you know, because love is a powerful drug. It can make you
Right.
do crazy things. And so
Yes.
to have a coach to be able to tell you, like, hey, wait a couple more months or do this or do that, and to help you navigate through this
Right.
process is super important. It's 10x. It'll get you there faster rather
Absolutely.
than if you're just like willy-nillying it on your own. So, as we wrap up this episode, what would be your nugget of wisdom to the ladies who are listening and watching on YouTube today?
My nugget of wisdom would be something that really, really saved my life. And it's that if we have that desire inside of us, if God put that desire inside of us to be in an amazing relationship, he or she put it there and
Mhm.
also put there all the means for it to become real. We have a good God that wants us happy.
Yeah.
Other rather than being a cruel God that will put those desires inside of us and not putting the means to make them a reality at the same
Hmm.
time. So that desire is real, own it, and just take one baby step. Maybe pick up a book. If you're listening to this, you already took a huge step.
Hmm.
So, and then go baby step by baby step, and you are gonna get there.
Yes. And it's never too late to find love in your life.
No, did you see the Golden Bachelor now?
The Golden Bachelor. I watched a couple episodes, but yes, it's never too late to find love. And when you find the person that is your, soulmate, the person that's your love, like your best friend, like I love my husband, and I am so thankful
Mm.
for him every single day. Every time we both work from home. So when he walks by and I can hear him, I'm like, I love you. And he's like, I love you.
Oh,
And we just have such an incredible relationship. And I
I'm
also love,
so happy for
not
you.
perfect all the time. When we argue, we're quick to say, I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings, or
Right.
this is what hurt, this is what triggered me, and we can have that conversation, and we just like continue to grow and evolve. And I know that I would have never had this type of relationship, or I would have never been able to be married to this type of man if I didn't do the work first, if I didn't dive deep into figuring out, why am I in the same the same relationship over and over? Like, you really do have to figure yourself out, because you're the denominating factor in each equation. So you can't blame the men that this is the reason why you're in failing relationships. You're the denominating factor. So invest, if you really, like she said earlier, if you really have it in your heart and in your soul that you want to be married, that you want to be in a relationship, that you want to become a mother and in a great family
Right.
unit, invest in yourself. Hiring a coach is the best investment you'll ever make in your entire life. I mean, I've hired multiple coaches in my life. She hired multiple coaches in her life,
My goodness.
and it,
Still
like,
have one.
yeah, revolutionized our lives. All right, so how can my audience find you?
They can find me on YouTube. I am as Natalia Murua, and Instagram, Epic Love Coach.
Hmm. All right, guys, Epic Love Coach, make sure you reach out if you're looking for your love in 2024. Thank you again for listening, and thank you again for watching on YouTube. Thank you again for listening to Journey of a Fearless Female. I'm your host, Paola Rosser. If you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual mentor, you can book a free discovery call with me at www.fearlessfemale.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at fearlessfemale_coach, subscribe to my YouTube channel at fearlessfemale, or find me on TikTok. I'm under at paola.rosser. And if you love this episode, make sure you hit subscribe, share it with your friends, and leave a review. I read every single review, and I truly appreciate the time you spend writing it.